So in this video, I'm going to tell you why I stopped cold calling long ago. And maybe by the end of this video, maybe you'll stop making cold calls as well. I'm Phil Duke Jr. I'm a licensed real estate broker here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, home of the University of Alabama Roll Tide. And I bought into the myth as well. Okay, that I got to find properties that are off market. I've got to go drive for dollars, right? And got to go drive around town and find abandoned houses. I need to pull a list from PropStream. I need to make the calls myself, or I need to hire a cold caller to call those owners and see if they'd be wanting to sell, and try to find properties that are off market, below the radar, where nobody knows about them, right? And I have found that is totally opposite to what actually has worked for me. Now, does it work? Yes, it does work. But if you're watching this video and you're looking for a faster way, maybe a cheat code way of doing it, I would not go that direction at all. Okay. And here's why. Number one, you know, if you're cold calling or you're cold knocking or you're driving for dollars, you're trying to find a seller who has a property that they own that they no longer need it, they no longer want it. Maybe it's costing them money, maybe it's costing them time, maybe it's causing anxiety for them. A tired landlord is a great example. They were making a couple $100s a month in cash flow until their tenant decided to move out in the middle of the night, or until they had to evict their tenant. And now they're stuck with this property that's in worse shape than it was before. They got to spend some extra money on it. And if you're going after off market deals, you're really just hoping to find that person at the right place and the right time, right? You got to find them on that day, at a time where they're motivated enough to make a move. They're sick and tired of dealing with this. They're sick and tired of talking to people like you and others that are trying to buy the property from them or give them offers. And they're finally just fed up. And they say, you know what, today's the day. And this is the guy that I'm going to do a deal with, right? So you're trying to find that perfect scenario. And unfortunately, most of the people you talk to are not going to be in that situation, at least not right now, right? There's people in my database right now that 2 or 3 years ago, one of my cold callers called them. They had a property that was empty, abandoned, vacant, whatever you want to say at that time. They wanted to sell it. They said, it's a very simple script. Are you the owner of 1234 Main Street? Is that one that you would sell if you got the right price for it? They said yes to both of those questions. But then when it came time to actually give them an offer, to take a look at the property so that we could give an offer, it was crickets, right? And unfortunately, those same people today have those same houses. A lot of them do. A lot of them still have that property. They still haven't sold it. They still haven't gotten to the point where they would even take an offer for like $5,000 or $10,000 to let's just get this thing over with. Let me get my 5 or 10 grand and move on. Unfortunately, they're not even there yet. They're truly cold leads. And here's one thing you got to realize, right? People who aren't on the market, they truly are cold. And even if you find the person, you talk to them, and they say yes to all the questions, you've still got to overcome these next couple hurdles of signing a contract, being able to move forward. So that's why I started going after warm leads instead. People that have already raised their hand and said, I want to sell. And the way that we find those, it's very, very simple. When people decide they really, really want to sell, most of the time they're not talking to a wholesaler. They're either going to put the sign in the yard themselves, for sale by owner on Zillow. You can find them all over Zillow for free every single day in any market in the country. They decide that they're going to sell it, or they decide to call their buddy who's a realtor. And we know that about 96% of all real estate transactions have at least one realtor involved, right? Even the people that list for sale by owner are kind of hoping that a realtor will bring a buyer and they can pay that buyer's agent a 3% commission instead of paying 6% commission for a listing agent and a buyer agent, right? Very, very few transactions are truly sold for sale by owner without an agent involved. And most of those that are, is a family member, a friend, a relative, a current neighbor, somebody that they already knew, and they're just going to a attorney's office or to a title company and doing that closing. So I started looking for people that raised their hands, right? Another good, area to look for is expired listings. All right, every single day, I'm a real estate broker. I have access to the MLS. Every single day, I can log in, and there are people who hired an agent. They signed a listing agreement. They let that agent put a sign in the yard. They let them put a light box on the door. They let them start showing it, and unfortunately, 3 months into it, 4 months into it, 6 months into it, that contract expires. But that's somebody that raised their hand and said, "I want to sell." And not just would I sell? The cold callers find people all the time that say, "Yes, I will sell if I got the right price." These people have taken the next step and said, "Not only do I want to sell, but I've actually signed something, or I input my property on Zillow myself, and they've taken that next step." So to me, much, much higher level of motivation. That is not a cold lead. That is what we would call a warm lead. Okay. Number three, the way that I reach out to these people is I start off with a cash offer first. Okay. So I have a system, an online portal. We have some relationships with some big, like, institutional buyers. I'm talking like people that buy, 100 plus houses a month. I can take any property in there. I can take, a Zillow listing, put 3 to 5 Zillow listings per day, put it into the system, let them see it, let them review it. They give me their offer. I don't have to calculate anything. I don't have to write anything up. I put it into the system. Normally within 24 to 48 hours, I've got 2, 3, 4, maybe more offers. And now I'm calling that for sale by owner, or I'm calling that agent that has a house listed, or I'm calling the people that tried to sell with an agent and weren't successful. And I'm starting the conversation with, "Hey, I've got you 2 offers in hand right now. What's the best way for me to get these to you? Can I email these to you?" And that's kind of how I get the conversation started, right? I'm not starting the conversation off with, "Would you take a cash offer and where do you need to be at?" I'm simply saying, "I put your property into our portal a few days ago. I've got you 2 or 3 or 4, however many cash offers, and I just want to get those offers to you." And the great thing is that these institutional buyers pay me a very good, a very rewarding finder's fee, normally around 4% of the price of the house, give or take, for me just putting the property into the system, presenting it to the owner, explaining the offer, right? That's what I'm required to do as a licensed real estate broker. I'm required to present, right? Another word for present is explain. Send, right? I can email it to them and give them a 2-minute explanation on the phone, but we're not having to, like, go through all the formalities, right? Just, "Here's your offer, Mr. Seller. Here's your offer, Mrs. Seller." And we put that in front of them. We explain it to them, ask them what questions they have, and then we kind of move forward. And if you would like to see how that portal works and how you can get access to it as well, this is something for anybody out there that has a real estate license or is willing to get a real estate license. You can have access to the same group of investors that I work with on a daily basis. I recorded a little masterclass down below. You can click the link and register for that and watch it at your convenience. It's just a little recorded masterclass that shows you how that works and how I'm using that every single day. Okay. So, I'm going after warm sellers. They've already raised their hand and said, "I want to sell. I'm trying to sell," or "I tried to sell unsuccessfully." I send them a cash offer. And then, the beauty of this whole model is it's remote, right? My real estate license allows me to work the entire state of Alabama. And if you're watching this video, you probably already know, like, you can talk to homeowners in other parts of your state, even other parts of the country, right? But with an Alabama real estate license, I can work the entire state of Alabama, all the for sale by owners, all the expired listings, all the listings that are on the market with a realtor where the property is vacant in the photos, right? If that property's sitting there vacant, you look at the pictures on Zillow or realtor.com and you see that there's no furniture and nobody's living there, that property is costing somebody money every single month, okay? And you don't really know who's truly motivated and who isn't. right? So, there's tons of people out there teaching people, 30-minute scripts, 45-minute scripts, pretending that you've got some underwriting department down the hallway and you got to go run it by them. And I don't do that. It's just very simple. It's remote. I don't have to drive to these properties. I don't have to live in those towns. But my real estate license allows me to do these deals nationwide, and I'm not having to come up with the earnest money. I'm not the one ordering and paying for the inspections. And any properties that we find for the institutional investors, they typically fix them up a little bit, and then they let me list them as the real estate agent, so I get paid twice on these transactions. So it's a pretty sweet setup, okay? Really just being a deal finder. And then lastly, number 5, if they don't take the offer, the cash offer from the institutional and buyers, we always have the option to pivot to just a listing. I cover that in the master class, but it's basically something like, hey, Mr. Seller, you've got these offers in hand. They're not going anywhere. It's good to have these in hand. Why don't we try putting your property on the open market for 7 to 10 days? Let's see what happens. Let's see if we can get an offer that's better than what we already have. And all you do then, again, you have to have a real estate license to do this. All you do then is get them to sign a listing agreement, take some photos of the property, put a sign in the yard, put that property on the MLS, let other agents take their buyers out to it, let them bring their offers while you stay on the listing side. Okay, so you can make a 3% commission or more as a listing agent. And the beauty to this model is, if you're going after the cold call leads, you're going after the distressed seller leads, you're trying to find that person that's just like really at rock bottom. And what I have found is that most people just aren't simply there. There's a lot more people that want top dollar for their property, or they want to get a lot closer to top dollar than what you or another wholesaler can give them. And doing business, this way, you give them both options, right? These offers from the institutional buyers are typically much, much closer to retail price. I mean, I'm talking about, for me as a wholesaler or a flipper, I can't touch these offers most of the time. They're higher than what I would be willing to offer. And so it's a good thing for the seller too. They get more money. You're not having to come up with the money. You're not having to renovate these properties. You get your finder's fee. And because there's so many more people that are in, this side of the boat than there are the distressed, sell today, sell at a discount, you can actually make more money with less stress and with less operating funds. You literally don't need to spend any money at all to find leads like this. Go after for sale by owners, go after expired listings, and look for homes on realtor.com listed with agents that have been on the market for 60 days or more that are vacant. That's it. Hopefully this video helped. Check out the masterclass. Let me know how it goes.